Hello to everyone and a very warm welcome to our virtual visit at the Museum of Communication in Berlin. My name is Anja Schaluschke and I'm the director of this museum. When you see the impressive architecture of our museum, you might wonder whether this has been always a museum. And well, yes, it has. This museum was planned and built as the Imperial Postal Museum, and it opened in 1898. But its roots date back to the year 1872, when the collection started. And so this year we are celebrating our 150th anniversary. Our museum is said to be the oldest of its kind in the world. During the last 150 years it has had a turbulent history. The museum was closed during the Second World War and most of the collections were evacuated for safekeeping. After the war, the collections, or parts of them, moved to Hesse, and there they formed the basis for the newly founded Federal Postal Museum in Frankfurt. This museum was part of East Berlin in a divided Germany. And during the World War, the museum and the building were badly damaged. You can see the wounds of war still in some places. In 1958, this museum was reopened as the Postal Museum of the German Democratic Republic. And 8 years later, in the western part of Berlin, there was also a new postal museum founded at the Urania. So lots of postal museums at that time. In the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, there came major changes for these postal museums. And in 1995, the Museum Foundation Post and Telecommunication was established. So after all these postal museums were reunited under one roof of the foundation. Today, the foundation maintains 3 museums in Frankfurt, in Nuremberg, and here in Berlin, and also 2 collections, storages, and the archive for philately, which is situated in Bonn. Our main objective today is to collect, to present, to educate about the whole development of news transmission. And we also have a huge collection which we present in our museums. We understand ourselves as a place for exchange and also for entertainment. So to say, in brief, for communication. We also develop a lot of exhibitions on aspects of communication. And today we would like to introduce you to one of our temporary exhibitions. But before we meet our curator, Katja Weber, I would like to invite you to come to Berlin and to visit our museum and to explore and discover the treasures that we hide in our museum. Katja, you curated our temporary exhibition, Technology Visions Between Fiction and Reality, Back to Future. So, in a nutshell, what is the exhibition about?
Okay, I try my best. In a nutshell, the exhibition shows the ideas of history of 16 technology visions on communication and mobility, so it fits perfectly to the Museum of Communication. And it represents, for example, artificial intelligence, also how artificial intelligence or autonomous driving or the landing on the moon or the video phone emerged from the history of mankind. So we decided to put these 16 technology visions into 4 rooms that we named after the big desires behind these technology visions of mankind. The first room is about optimization of mankind. The second room is about boundless communication, the big wish to communicate everywhere and on every place. The third room is overcoming space and time. It's a hyperloop and a time machine. And the fourth and last room is about searching for another world, like landing on the moon or underwater civilization.
And where are we standing in the exhibition right now?
Yeah, it's an installation and it's a prologue of the exhibition. And it sets the mood for the exhibition and also addresses how the new comes into the world, what we really want to know when we made the research for the exhibition. So we found out, maybe it's not so new, but I thought it's interesting to talk about it, that humans are able to imaginate how the future could be. So we are able to invent something new. And I think it has also something to do with the feelings that drives us forward, for example, fear or also curiosity.
And what we see here is one very central question for this exhibition. Would you like to know your future? So would you like to know your future?
Yeah, that's. I think it's a difficult question, and I found out that it has to do about the topic. So I really wanted to know, what I really would like to know, how I should make my finance investments for my retirement later. Nobody can say right now what is a good idea. So for that, yes. But I really don't want to know if my relationship will last or where I will be in 10 years. So I think that makes life exciting and stay my personality mobile, I would say, in somehow. So yeah, that would be my answer. What about you, Anja? How do you see the future? Do you think all these technical developments will solve our problems?
Well, it depends. I guess it's both. They will solve some problems and they will make some problems. Personally, I was, that's interesting. I was never really interested in the future. I was much more interested in the history. Maybe that's the reason why I'm working in a museum. It's more, for me, it's more interesting to look back in history and to see what the visions of the people in that times were. So it's just like that what the exhibition is doing. So perfect exhibition for me.
Yeah.
Katja, you have integrated works of art into the exhibition. Can you tell us a bit what was your idea behind that?
Yeah, we had the problem that all these technical visions we researched were developed by men and by white men. We didn't have a different perspective. And the other problem was that we couldn't show the topic that these technical visions have something to do with feelings and ethical issues. So we thought about it, how to point it out. And we found 7 artists who we invited to show their artistic positions. And this is one of it. Alexandra Domanovic's hand.
Because you wanted to have a female perspective on the topic?
Yeah, for example.
And what we see here, the work by Alexandra Domanovic, is a computer-controlled arm that is making an ultrasonic picture of a pregnant belly. As we see it here, it's one reacts with it with a bit of discomfort. Would you say that this is a realistic vision of our future?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't know, and I also don't know if it already exists. What Alexandra Domanovic does in her works is she reflects on technology that have already changed our bodies. So I can imagine that in some places of the world we have already these technical support by medical observations.
The artwork of Alexandra Domanovic is in the context of optimization of humankind. How is the desire for optimization in this chapter expressed?
Yeah, I mean, optimization is the name of this room, and we show here the cyborg or the artificial intelligence, or also the wish to be immortal. That's called transhumanism. And and we found out that humans really always want to improve their self. They want to improve their skills of cognition. They want to improve their bodies. So for that, they implement medical processes, but also not only for medicals, also for reasons to enhance their body. That is called human enhancement.
Okay. Well, and can you tell me, this is one of my favorite objects, what does that have to do with human optimization?
It's called the Domiphone, and it's built in the 1950s and also sold in this time. And the idea is that you can learn while you are sleeping. The audio player plays back the content you want to learn, for example, a foreign language or a theater role you want to learn. And the idea is that you can learn during the sleep. But it seems to be that it doesn't work because I think this technical solution doesn't exist anymore.
Wonderful idea, and I think nowadays there are still these technical things that are explored or discovered, so people are still trying and working on this idea, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, nice idea. In the exhibition, we give our audience, our visitors, the opportunity to share their views on special questions with us. So can you explain what is happening here?
Yeah, this is our voting station, one of 4 voting stations in the exhibition. We try to point out the questions, the ethical questions, the feelings of what is behind these technical visions in these votings. So maybe let's do one voting.
Okay.
I ask you, do you find interventions on the human body okay, which only serve the optimization and are not medically necessary? So this is a human enhancement debate. So.
Well, that's a difficult question. I was tempted to say no, by no means, but then in the end it was only with regulations. For example, interventions in the genetical material, that is not okay. So it's that, and well, I'm the average, I said.
Yes, you are. Okay, thank you.
Why do you think it is interesting to look at the ideas and visions of for the future of the past?
Yeah, I observed that some technical development gives a lot of people the feeling of powerlessness, and they have fear of what these developments brings. And we already had in our history bad experiences with the results of technical developments. So we don't know whether we should welcome the developments or if we should concerned about it. So I wanted to know how the people in the past dealt with this problem or with these developments. I mean, we had railways, we had the big industrialization. That was a big impact of the society, and how does that deal with all these problems? So we were interested in this exhibition.
And what is your learning? Would you say there's a reason to look in the future with confidence despite the bad news that we receive every day?
Yeah, I would say yes, although, and we should always have the light on in our daily routines, because it depends how we deal with technological developments. I follow Stanislav Lem, the science fiction author, who said, well, it depends how you deal with this object. And he used the example of a knife and said, I can kill a human with a knife, or I just can cut off a leaf of a bread. So, and this is what I've learned in the exhibition. And this is something how I want to go through my daily life, is that future is not made and fell from the sky, so it's made from humans that use the developments and improve it. So we have it in our hands, and this is what I hope visitors earn from this exhibition.
So you would like to invite the visitors to design and create their own future.
And our future together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Katja, we are here in the space that focuses on boundless communication. It is about the history of the idea of cell phones, of video phones, of universal translators and other things. And here we discover another poetic detour. It's a work by Susan Treister. What is it about?
Yeah, Susan Treister, in her work, it's reality what we are dreaming still about. She calls her series Survivor, so she thinks about how humans communicate when we are maybe not anymore on the planet Earth, maybe on another planet. So she has a data-free universe. For her, telepathic communication is possible, and also wordless human-machine and man and human communication is possible.
So when we can see nowadays that some of the visions of the past are now realistic, do you think that this will become reality as well?
A data-free universe, I don't know. I'm really skeptical about the ideas to live on Mars or other planets. Yeah. I think we should deal about the resources we have here on Earth and pay attention to that.
Katja, can you tell us a bit more about what this room is about?
Yeah, it's about the big desire of mankind to communicate without barriers, so to be independent of places, of time, and of languages.
The people in past times have found solutions that fitted to their times. What solutions were this?
Yeah, I mean, earlier where the technical development wasn't so far, they developed, they communicate with fire or with carrier pigeons or with messengers. And in the 19th century, people started developing technical tools like the telephone or later the smartphone or the internet or the universal translator. And this is we want to talk about here in the exhibition. Maybe you go to the video phone?
Thanks to the dreams of these people in the past and thanks to creative and competent developers, nowadays for us, videophony is quite normal for us, especially in times of COVID. But 20 years ago, it was not possible the way we're using the video phones nowadays. And the idea itself is much older, isn't it?
The idea is born when Alexander Graham Bell invented his telephone in 1876. So creative minds thought it should be possible to send also images, moving images through the wire, through the telephone wire, not only the sound. So what I think it's interesting that at first draftsmen and authors thought about solutions how this video telephony could work. And here's a picture of the draftsman Jean Stumurier. He's from France. And 2 years after Graham Bell invented his telephone, he made this picture. And you see a Victorian couple that made a telephone call to his daughter, who's in Ceylon, Sri Lanka today. And this is called the telephonoscope.
Mm-hmm. Okay, looks like a bit like a Zoom conference nowadays, but that was only a vision. So when was there really serious invention?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because it needed 50 years that it really functioned, that a video call was possible. So maybe I go to this next station, and here you can see New York and Washington, and this was in the year 1927 when the first video phone call was possible, but here still one person could see the video of the others, so it was not possible to see the picture of each other. And 2 years later in Germany at the Berliner Funkausstellung, was possible. So here we can see the picture, and there were Fernsehsprechzellen, I don't know how to translate it, in Berlin and in Dresden. There was possible to go into a room and to make a video call.
Almost at the same time in the film Metropolis, they mentioned a form of misuse, did they?
Yeah, that is interesting, I think. I was wondering if Fritz Lang, the man who produced the movie, if he knew already all these developments, because he pointed out the problem of surveillance and control in his film. So already the two sides of technical use, and yeah, that was interesting, I think.
Katja, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm in the picture of Hieronymus Bosch.
Katja is now immersing herself in the world of the artist Hieronymus Bosch. And here you can see how far the former technology visions of total immersion in another world has become a reality. The developers at Time Leap, who did this virtual reality, have brought the painting Garden of Delights by Hieronymus Bosch to life in a virtual reality experience. Overcoming time and space. What is this room about?
Yeah, man has always pursued the desire to move from point A to point B, faster, faster, and higher and higher. Technical visions of transportation are intended to conquer not only the surface of the Earth, but also underworld and the skies. This is why this space is also called overcoming space and time. So people invented flying objects, hyperloops, autonomous driving. But there are unfulfilled wishes, such as time travel and beaming.
Here we have a book that looks very old, so what can we see there?
Yeah, this is a particular nice example for time travel, and it's the first picture that we know is made from a time travel machine. It's from 1887, but as far as I know, it's not invented already.
Okay, if you could make a wish, if you could use a time travel machine, in what time would you travel? Would you like to travel?
That's a good question. In the past or in the future? And is it open?
Open.
This is a difficult question. I always ask the visitors, but I never thought about what would be my answer. I'm curious about the Middle Ages, if the Middle Ages were really so dark as it is called, and I really want to know how the nature was. So.
Okay. In the room, in the search for distant worlds, we move away from Earth. This room is about ideas and utopias about the settlement of extraterrestrial spaces, planets, and so on. And in the meantime, the American agency NASA has visited Mars. How old is the dream of humankind to visit planets, different planets, strange and unknown planets and areas?
It begins in modern times when Nicolaus Copernicus in 1500 discovered that the Earth rotates around the Sun. So this changed the view of the society. So the society didn't look anymore on the planet; it looked on other planets. And here we can see a drawing, and as far as I know, it's the first drawing of the planet.
So Katja, when Nicolaus Copernicus discovered this fact, what happened then? Did his discovery inspired people?
Yeah, he opened the way for literary utopias, and we have novels. They are called planetary novels, and here's an example by Cyrano de Bergerac in 1650. It's called The Voyage to the Moon States, and it first appeared in Paris. But of course, the authors only think of the possibility. The technical realization, as we know, takes place only in the 20th century with the construction of the first rockets.
Katja, I know that for a curator it's always a bit difficult to answer the question about the favorite object, but I know that what we see here is one of your favorite objects in the exhibition. What do we see?
Yeah, we see a yellow part. It's a model of a really big laboratory that was on the bottom of the North Sea in Helgoland here in Germany. And they made researches in the 17th about how it is to live underwater longer than just for one diving. And Yeah, it does not exist any longer, and the same researchers in this time in the 70s were made also in the US, but as long as I know, they don't. They stopped the research.
Okay, so it was for training to live underwater, but also they trained to use space shuttles.
Yeah, I mean, they try to find out how it is to live in other atmospheres and underwater. And they, in these times in the 70s and 80s, they learned from each other the trainings in space shuttles and underwater. So it's a materialization of an utopian dream, I think.
We are coming to the end of our little virtual tour, but before we close, we would like to have a look at two different poetic detours, don't we?
Yes, I want to show you Christian Montero's work.
These photos are gruesome and beautiful at the same time. The photographer, the artist is Fabrice Monteiro from Dakar. And can you tell us a bit more about these photos?
Yeah, I mean, when we strike through the world, we often forget that we are destroying currently our planet, and this is what Fabrice Monteiro wants to point out. And these pictures are from Senegal, and it shows how the consumer society, the rest of the consumer society. And and the series is called The Prophets, and the prophets are the humans who are in the middle of the picture. So he wants to show that these are the people who create this environmental problem. So he points up the topic of waste, but also of climate change.
We talked about the topic of destroying our environment and about our responsibility to develop a sustainable future for us before, when we saw the work of Fabrice Monteiro. Coming to an end, I would like to talk with you about the work of Ecologic Studio. And they experimented with artificial algae to find a solution for our climate problem. Tell us more about the idea behind that.
Yeah, Ecologic Studio is a London-based collective, and they have different organic structures they build, and they fill it with algae, like they are synthetical algae. They are able to take carbon dioxide from the air and to clean the air. And I mean, I don't know if this is the big solution, I think not, but it's an experiment about what algae can provide us for our future. So it takes us pretty close to this question we are dealing with right now.
And for us as museum people, this is also a challenge for us, because we have to feed them with water in the exhibition. So I guess it's one of the strange situations that we have living objects in our exhibition.
Yeah, it's a living object, and it needs light and water. So
yeah, it is. So with this visit in our temporary exhibition, we have looked at the ideas of people in the past for the future, and it's very important to build a bridge to our future. I think that became quite clear looking at these works of art. And for us as Museum Foundation, it's also very important to work on temporary questions, to look at topics that are relevant for our society nowadays and also for future societies. So at the moment we are working on an exhibition about climate. You are the curator of this exhibition as well. Can you say some words about this exhibition?
Yeah, I tried. It's not about the topic by itself, it's more about how we communicate about the climate crisis, the climate change. And here starts the question we have, how do we want to call it, and what kind of feelings it evolves when we take special words or pictures for it. And this is what we want to reflect why it is so difficult for us to change our behavior, although we already know so much about the environmental problems and the climate heating.
Thank you. The exhibition is to be opened in autumn this year in Frankfurt. Can be seen in Berlin next year, and the exhibition Back to Future can be visited in Berlin until the end of August. And we would also like to recommend to the people outside who are not able to visit us in Berlin, that we have on our website an exportizer. So this is a digital way to transport the topics and the themes of the exhibition. So thank you, Katja. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Anja. Maybe you go to the video phone?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, the video phone.